Our kids swore they saw people in the house next door. We laughed at first, until we saw them too. Moving into a new house was supposed to be a fresh start. We'd saved for years, packed every box ourselves, and finally, my husband and I had found the perfect little place on a quiet street. Our kids were thrilled. Our son racing through the backyard, our daughter already claiming her dream room. It felt normal, safe, until the first night. As the sun dipped behind the trees, I pulled the curtains shut. Out of habit, I glanced at the house next door. It was dark, weathered, its windows clouded with dust. The paint peeled, the yard overgrown, clearly abandoned. But as I turned away, a faint glow caught my eye. One of the upstairs windows flickered with light, like someone was walking through the rooms carrying a lantern. I told myself it was just my imagination, the reflection of a car maybe. But then, I saw movement, a shadow crossing the glass. At breakfast the next morning, I brought it up casually to our neighbor across the street, an older woman named Mrs. Calloway. "Oh, that house," she said, shaking her head. "Been empty for years, no one lives there. Hasn't been since the tragedy." Her voice trailed off and she changed the subject before I could press her. That night, I couldn't resist looking again. And there it was. Light. Flickering across the windows, moving from room to room. I didn't mention it to the kids, but they noticed. "Mom," my daughter whispered one night, peeking through her blinds. "I saw a man in the window next door." Her little brother chimed in. "Me too. He was watching me." I told them it was just their imagination. But my own heart was racing, because I had seen it too. A few days later, while my husband was at work, curiosity got the better of me. I walked around the side yard and peered over the fence at the empty house. Its door was chained shut, windows boarded. No sign of life. And yet I felt it. The sensation of being watched. That evening, my husband laughed when I told him. "Probably squatters," he said. "We'll call the city if it keeps up." But later that night, when the lights flickered again, he went pale. "Okay," he admitted. "That's not headlights. Someone's in there." We decided to keep an eye on it. Night after night, the pattern repeated. Flickering lights, shadows moving through the upstairs. Sometimes the faint sound of footsteps carrying across the yard. One night, the light stopped in the window facing our daughter's room and stayed there, like someone was staring out at her. Terrified, we pulled her into our room to sleep. The next morning, I called Mrs. Calloway again, desperate for answers. Her voice was hushed. "You shouldn't be looking in that house. Everyone who does regrets it." When I pressed her, she finally whispered the story. Years ago, a family lived there, a man, his wife, and their little boy. But one night, something happened. Screams were heard, the lights went out, and no one ever saw the family again. The house was left to rot. No buyers, no renters, just silence. But sometimes neighbors swore they still saw them inside. I wanted to dismiss it as local gossip, but the very next night my husband and I were jolted awake by a sound, our front gate creaking open. We rushed to the window, hearts pounding, and froze. Because standing in the yard, facing our house, were three figures. A man, a woman, and a small child. Their silhouettes dark against the glow of the house next door. My husband ran for the phone, but before he could dial, the figures turned, slowly, and walked back toward the abandoned house. We watched, shaking, as they vanished through the chained front door. No sound, no struggle, just gone. The next morning, I couldn't take it anymore. I marched to the house, determined to prove it was just squatters. But when I peered through the broken slats of the boarded window, my blood turned cold. The inside wasn't dusty or abandoned. It was furnished, lived in, a sofa, a lamp, toys scattered on the floor, and in the reflection of the glass just behind me, a man's face. I stumbled back, heart hammering, but when I turned, no one was there. The house stood silent, lifeless. But that night, when I pulled the curtains tight, I realized something that made my stomach drop. The lights in our own house flickered back, as if someone across the way was watching us now. They told us the house next door was empty, but I don't think it ever was. And now, I'm starting to wonder if ours really is either.